So if you want to start making YouTube or TikTok shorts, all you need is an iPhone and a laptop or a computer, and I guarantee you have both of those. The video editing is also going to be extremely easy and simple, and we're going to be using a free program that anybody can use and get their hands on today. Let's get into it. The first thing to address, why make YouTube shorts or TikToks of actual content for your beats? Why not just post something that looks like this that I used to post all the time? All this is just a static image with like a moving overlay and my beat underneath it. That is extremely boring, and if you're not a rapper specifically looking for beats, you can't really be entertained by that. And even if you are a rapper looking for beats, is that really entertaining to you at all? And does that really even appeal to you in the first place? So when you make content videos, one, you can appeal to your target audience of rappers a lot better. You can also appeal to producers, other hip hop heads, or people who just have a general interest in hip hop or like your music in general. So if you haven't already, go watch the last video I made, but basically people are blowing up from YouTube shorts and TikToks, and you guys need to be getting on this because it's huge. So where making the content video starts first is actually in your DAW with how you want to lay out your beat for your video. And if you make a 45-second intro for a 60-second short and you only have 15 seconds of the actual whole beat playing with the beat drop, people aren't going to stick around to hear it drop. And also on platforms like TikTok, artists can actually duet your video and basically rap over your beat. And listen, you guys want rappers to duet your videos on TikTok. I got a few duets, nothing insane yet so far. Nobody's bought a beat from TikTok from what I've known. But Kato the producer made this video, and then some girl duetted it, and then everybody on TikTok started using the sound and it blew up. Millions of views. And listen, if you guys are telling me right now, bro, I don't want to make a TikTok, you're passing up on the opportunity to get millions of views from maybe 30 minutes of your time. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm gonna play you guys the actual beat I have, and then we're gonna talk about how I arrange it for my video.
Going crazy right now.
So now I'm going to show you guys the TikTok I actually made for this beat, so that way you can understand this a little bit better before we actually dive too deep into it.
Don't blow your thing. Get yourself together. I need all your love, but you wanna have your fling. Don't blow your thing.
Okay, so the first thing we had, of course, was the original sample, and what I did there is I sang along with the sample. I was kind of goofy just to keep people interested and entertaining. Then we had me playing the sample chops, then the drums came in. So basically, within about 10 to 15 seconds, somebody who was an artist, if they wanted to, they could start rapping on the beat. So if you're in FL Studio, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna click Arrangement, and we're gonna click Add One. And we're just gonna name this Content. Okay, so it's gonna be extremely easy, right? Just think about how you wanna sequence the video. I'm gonna play the original sample, then we're gonna play the sample chops for 2 bars. And then we're gonna add the drums in after 2 bars. And make sure to add in the hi-hats too with this. Okay, boom. And I mean, like, this is literally the whole beat. It's just that easy. Then we can add the crash and this tom fill. And yeah, I mean, like, guys, it's just that simple, right? So that's all you have to do, is you have to sequence the beat out how you'd want it to play it. So if you have a beat with chords and a melody, right, start off with like your opening chords, then add your melody on top, then add, your drums into it with like the kick and the snare and the 808 with the hi-hat going. So that way you have a little bit of an intro and you're playing a MIDI device, right? Show that the wrong way, but basically have a little bit of an intro with it of you playing stuff out, and then just keep the beat intact. Right, so you guys can tell that within 16 seconds, somebody's able to hear the drop and start rapping. So even 16 seconds is a little bit long, but I think the way I kind of act on camera with the sample chop, I think that's enough to get somebody to stay around. And since we're gonna be we're not gonna actually be playing this live on a keyboard, but I'm gonna have my keyboard over here. So what I have to do is I need to give myself a bar of space here to hit the play button and then move over to my keyboard to start playing stuff, right? It's impossible for you to hit the play button and then within that same second start playing on the MIDI device. So I leave myself a bar gap so that way I can turn from hitting the play button and start playing it out. And I also leave the metronome on So yeah, basically all you're gonna do is, if you have speakers, this works really easy because you can sync it up. Now let's get to actually recording this. Okay, so I'm gonna be using the audio from just the actual camera, so I apologize if it's a little bad. So you guys just saw my setup here. I am using my high quality camera. I am using an actual light box, right? Do you need these things? No. I made tons of videos on my YouTube channel for this channel and before on my iPhone. You can do it on your iPhone. Do not give me the excuse that you cannot do it on your iPhone. I made like 13-minute videos for my iPhone that have performed well. You can do it too. Understand how lighting works. It's a very simple concept. Look up 3-point lighting and just learn it just a little bit. Notice I kind of have this black table here just because, like, if I were to like record from the same angle, you really just can't see everything too well. And what you need to understand, when you take like the actual camera footage here of like a widescreen and you make it into like TikTok, basically only this part of me is going to be able to be seen, right? That's just kind of how this works. You're kind of going to a different ratio now to the phone screen. So like I said, we're going to be rendering out the arrangement we did and exporting that as a WAV file. So, you know, you can keep your metronome on, you can do whatever you want. People are not going to be able to hear this audio unless you let them hear it. So the first thing we're gonna do is the sample. So the first sample chop lasts for 3 bars. So what it's gonna look like in reality is like this. So to kind of make that a little bit more live, let's break down that one sample chop of 3 bars into 3 chops and 3 bars. So it'd be like, right, that's a little bit more entertaining than this. Also, don't be afraid to mess up while you're doing this. I made this beat last night, so it's kind of, you know, a little bit tricky for me to get the timing perfect right off the bat. Alright, so now we got the first sample chop done. Notice how I was kind of like singing with it. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be goofy. You know, being a goofy ass like this, you know, oh, but dang, get yourself together, right? That's going to be a lot more entertaining than you just going. Okay, so don't be afraid to make yourself a little bit vulnerable and have fun with this stuff. So now we're going to start it from the beginning again, and now we're going to play our sample chops. Now, I need to get my sample chops down a little bit, so... Got it. All right. Also, when you're doing these takes, don't be afraid to kind of get some B-roll of you just kind of vibing out. So now we're going to add the drums, and I'm going to start from a little bit in the track. So now you can do that tom roll. So now we're going to take this and edit it. Okay guys, so the free program is called DaVinci Resolve 16. This is gonna look a little complex when you first open it, but do not panic. This is going to be extremely easy. So let's get into this. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but I did this before. So we're just gonna click Untitled Project, New Project, Content, Tutorial 2. Okay, cool. So now you're faced with this screen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click Media Pool. Now let's click Control I to import clips, and we're gonna go find our clip. We need to find the audio we rendered. Let's drag that into, I believe we have to go into edit. Yeah, okay. So we have to go into edit, and then you'll see your clip up here, and we gotta drag this in. So if you're like me and you have this open bar of space, just drag it to where the beat starts, like that. Okay, cool. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make markers on those individual parts, right? We had the original sample, the sample chop, then the drums. So we're gonna mark that all out. So this is the original sample. And then this is where the sample chops start playing. So just highlight your cursor where the sample chops start playing in the audio form and hit the M. Now we're going to go find our drums. Pretty easy, you can see it in the waveform. Gonna click M. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna go back to cut, or no, we're not gonna go back. I guess we're just gonna go in whatever. Edit it, and then we're gonna drag our audio clip in. So you need to make sure that the audio clips don't like go on the same channel. That's gonna mess it up. Drag it to a new audio channel like that. And now what we need to do is we need to go find the parts that we need to sync up. So I believe it is, this one is the good takes. So let's go ahead. And what we're going to do is there's this razor blade tool right here. We're going to click that, and then we can actually, oh, I didn't mean to cut that, but we're going to delete these two parts because we don't need them. So now we're going to go ahead and we split the first part. So now we're going to go ahead and do where the sample chop comes in. So it looks like right there is where the sample chops start playing. So what we're going to do is we have this first part. Let's drag it the whole way back over. And now it should line up pretty much almost perfectly. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to click this M button on the audio track for our video. So that way we don't have the audio from my monitors on my camera interfering with the actual audio clip. Boom. Okay, so now we need to go find where I start playing the sample chops. Because if we actually look at this clip right here, right, unmute this. Oh my god, I hate this. Usually I use Premiere, but for the sake of this video, this is a free editor, so I'm going to use it to show you guys, because I know most of you guys are going to be using this. Right, you guys can see that I just let it play out. I don't actually start playing sample chops right away. So I need to go find where I start playing sample chops.
Also,
okay, so there we go. So right there is where I start playing the actual sample chops. So we're going to cut it, and then we can delete the rest of this because we don't need it for the sake of this video. So now let's go find where the sample chops end, and I start like letting it play out to the drums. What I did is I was actually messing up, so I just left the sample chops play by themselves solo, so the drums don't actually come in that take. So let's mute that. Now the sample chops. Oh, I took it in. Oh, I see what I did there. See, I overdrug it over. That's a word. I did it. Okay. So now zoom in. There we go. So now we have. So the original sample chops. And then there's where our drums come in, so we can actually split this and delete this. Now we need to go find me playing the drums. So there's where I start playing the drums. So delete the intro of this because we don't need it, or I guess not the intro, but just delete the beginning of that we don't need. Drag this over. This is basically where you would just keep on going if you have multiple takes, or if you did multiple shots, right, multiple angles, you could line them up.
And then if you wanted to, right, you could simply just copy and paste this clip over and over of me playing the drums. And yeah, if you're that lazy, you can do it.
And then let's say we want this to end right there, so we can then split the audio right there. So boom, now we have our TikTok. But the issue is that this TikTok is actually not a TikTok or YouTube short because it's in vertical video format. So what we have to do is over here in the edit section, there's a thing called timeline. So we need to right click and do timeline settings, do custom settings, and we need to change 1920 by 1080 to 1080 by 1920. So now what you're gonna notice is if you recorded widescreen like I did, right, we have these huge black gaps and we do not want that. So we have to click on each individual clip, go to the inspector, and then just drag this zoom up. And then you can move the positions around to put yourself in front of it, right? Obviously, if you zoom in and this is all you see, you need to move your positions around so that way you're at least in the center of the frame. I would like to do then is, I believe you double click on this, you click Control C, and then you can click on this clip and go to that, and then you can paste that value back in. So that way the positions might not be 100% correct, but the same amount of zoom / scale is the same, so it looks good. So we're gonna do that for every clip. So now we have this. This is now in TikTok format. So now what we're gonna do is we need to then save this. So we're gonna go into deliver, and we have a lot of options here, right? So we're gonna click browse, and this is where you can choose to save it. So just do TikTok. And then what we can do is we can drag this down to see more of this. So let's go ahead and we're gonna change the format to an MP4, and we're gonna keep our resolution on custom. The frame rate's 24, right? And it's pretty much all you should do. So then we're gonna click add to render queue, and then it's gonna show up over here, and then you can click start render. Okay, it's very important that you need to render this out. You can't just save this. It's going to save as a DaVinci file, not an actual MP4 file. So then, once this is done, we'll go ahead and we will go to videos, TikTok.
Don't blow your thing. Get yourself together. Get yourself together. I need all your love, but
And then what I do is I upload this to my Dropbox, and then I go on my phone, and then I go into Dropbox on my phone, and you just hold down on the video when you're playing it like on screen, and you can click save to camera roll, and then you go into TikTok, boom. And what you can do is there's no special way to upload a YouTube short. You upload a YouTube short like any other video. You just go into the upload, click upload video, and then you just drag that in and you're good to go. There's no special way to upload a YouTube short. You upload it like a regular video. So yeah, that was the video. Peace.